Hello and welcome to another short drawing film. This week I thought I'd pass on what I've learnt about watercolour paper. I've been doing some little doodles. I usually always use this very smooth stuff, and I was wondering if I was missing out by maybe not trying the rougher type of paper. So I found this nice pad, Bockingford, which is made local to me in Wales, not very far away. And the nice thing about this pad was that there were 3 different types of paper in it, so 12 sheets, four of each. So the first one, I suppose I should point out that watercolour paper is usually a bit different from normal paper in that it has less wood pulp in it, or maybe none at all, which it has cotton or felt or something and wool in there to make it stronger, basically, so you can put lots of wet washes on without it destroying the paper. And then the finishes are the bit that used to confuse me. There just seem to be endless different variations of different names for it. But basically, there's rough, which is the paper has been, the pulp has been taken out and laid to dry on some felt, and this is the texture of the felt. And they haven't squished it or anything, so it's quite rough, very difficult to draw on. I found the lumps and bumps as I was trying to sketch just really interfered with my drawing, so I'll show you some of those. The next type of paper is cold pressed, or sometimes called knot paper, which I don't know why they call it knot, maybe not hot pressed, but it's cold pressed. So this is the same as before, but this time it's been passed through some cold rollers, which just flattens it slightly, but there's still plenty of texture left to trap the paint in nice ways. But I still found it fairly difficult to draw on, if I'm honest, because I tend to work quite small, and yeah, that kind of magnifies the grain, I suppose. If you're working really big and mainly with a brush, then you'd probably be fine. The last type of paper is hot pressed, and this is the one that I've been using most of all. So that passes through some hot rollers and makes it completely smooth, much like, it's not far off the Bristol board I use for just pencil sketching. So these are the sketches I did on the hot pressed, which I'm kind of most pleased with. I think they all came out reasonably well, because the type of drawing I do or watercolours I do is I'm mainly relying on pencil drawings, which I then colour in or just add a light wash to. I'm not really using watercolour in the way it's intended, I suppose. These are the ones done on the in-between paper, the cold pressed or knot paper, and I quite like. They're not too bad, but they're definitely rougher than the others. Not just in texture, but rougher in sketching, which you kind of have to do just because your drawing can't be as precise when you're drawing over these lumps and bumps. So they're still passable. And then we've got a couple on the rough paper. This one I abandoned, and this one I overworked. I had to press really hard to compete with the shadow on the texture, and then I put too many layers of paint on, and yeah, just lost all the delicacy really, just because I was fighting with the texture, which you can probably, if I hold it at an angle, you can see that rough texture on those. There's one last aspect which is worth thinking about, which is what happens when you scan these in. So a lot of my work, I work traditionally and then scan it into the computer to make prints and that kind of thing. And scanning the hot pressed paper, the smooth paper, is way better and way easier than scanning in the ones with the texture, especially the rough one. It's almost impossible to reduce the shading and the dimples of the paper without losing the fine watercolour washes and fine pencil lines as well. So if you need to do any kind of scanning, I would definitely recommend sticking with smooth stuff. If you need to work on rough paper, if you find that that's best for your type of drawing, you probably want to be photographing your pictures to make digital copies. So using a pair of lights and a camera is probably going to give better results than trying to scan them in. Hope you found that useful. Let me know your experiences in the comments. Keep on drawing, and I'll see you for another one soon.